I saw a man proudly admitting to arson in court, and he walked free. What happened? I was serving as a juror on what seemed like a straightforward case of arson and insurance fraud. The defendant, an older gentleman named Frank Calloway, was accused of deliberately burning down his family's historic barn that had stood on his property for over 70 years. According to the prosecution, Frank had been seen by multiple witnesses moving valuable equipment out of the barn in the days leading up to the fire. His neighbor, Mrs. Henderson, testified that she watched him methodically clearing a wide perimeter around the structure by cutting back all the tall grass and removing any flammable debris. On the morning of the fire, Mrs. Henderson claimed she observed Frank walking the perimeter of the barn with a red gas can, pouring liquid along the foundation. Within minutes, flames engulfed the entire structure. The fire department arrived quickly, but could only prevent the fire from spreading to nearby fields. The fire marshal testified that accelerants were detected around the barn's foundation, and Frank was arrested at the scene. The prosecution's case was forcefully laid out, with evidence and witness accounts aimed to prove Frank's guilt beyond doubt. Indeed, when the defense began their case, something unexpected happened. Frank's attorney called him to the stand and asked point blank, "Mr. Calloway, did you set fire to your barn on May 12th? Frank adjusted his glasses, leaned toward the microphone, and replied clearly, "Yes, ma'am, I sure did." A murmur rippled through the courtroom. The judge called for order. Frank's attorney continued, "Can you explain why you burned down your barn?" Frank nodded. "That barn was built by my grandfather in 1948. Last winter, we had those terrible storms, and the main support beams cracked. The whole east wall was leaning. I had 3 different contractors out to look at it, and they all said the same thing. It couldn't be saved and was dangerous. The last fellow told me a strong wind could bring it down on someone." The attorney produced 3 written estimates from contractors, all declaring the barn structurally unsound. "So, why burn it instead of demolishing it?" she asked. Frank explained, "In my family and throughout this county, farmers have always burned down structures that can't be salvaged. It's tradition. My daddy did it, his daddy did it. We clear everything valuable out, create a fire break, and burn it down controlled like. Been doing it that way for generations." The attorney then asked, "Were you aware you needed a permit for such a controlled burn?" Frank shook his head. "No, ma'am. Agricultural properties in this county have always been exempt from burn permits for clearing farm debris and structures. It's in the county ordinance, section 12, paragraph 4. The prosecutor's face had gone pale. Frank's attorney submitted the county ordinance into evidence, which clearly showed Frank was correct. She then asked, "Did you file an insurance claim for the barn?" Frank looked genuinely confused. "Why would I? I knew that barn wasn't covered anymore. After the storm damage, the insurance company sent someone out who declared it uninhabitable and removed it from our policy. Got the letter right here." He produced a notice of coverage termination dated 3 months before the fire. The prosecution was visibly deflating. Finally, Frank's attorney asked, "Why didn't you explain all this when you were arrested?" Frank straightened in his chair. "When those officers put me in handcuffs, they read me my rights, said anything I say could be used against me. Next day, my picture was in the local paper calling me an arsonist and fraud. My family's been in this community for 5 generations with a spotless reputation. I wanted my day in court so everyone would know the truth." The judge dismissed the case immediately. As we filed out, I overheard the prosecutor apologizing to Frank. "Sometimes the most straightforward explanation is the truth, even when someone admits to arson in open court."